school year you want to be organized, get good grades, while enjoying life and accomplishing so much, then this video is for you. This is your guide to having your best school year yet. It's Elena. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I post content on lifestyle, positivity, mental health, and school. When I'm making this video, it is currently Monday, August 3rd, and I go back to school in 9 days, which is insane. I feel like summer always goes by way too fast. I did have a great summer, but I know for many of us, it's back to school season. So today, this video is going to be your complete guide to having the best school year. And this can apply to any grade, whether you're in middle school or high school, or honestly, even if you're still in elementary school. So I broke this video off into sections. The first section is organization. I believe it is so important to stay organized when you're at school because it just helps you to keep track of your assignments and it just prevents so many mishaps from happening. What I like to do is keep a daily planner so that I can write down what homework I need to do or what other tasks I have, and if I have any projects when they are due or when I have any tests. I also think using folders are really helpful. Last year, I only used 2 folders, and I feel like I did not do the best job of keeping them organized because I kind of had both of them for every class. And I'm going to expose myself a bit here, but sometimes that did cause me to lose track of a few assignments. So this year, I want to get a folder for every class so that I can keep all the papers organized, because for some classes, I get so many papers, and then for other classes, I get like 2 or 3 the whole year. Because I feel like now most things are online, especially when you're like in high school. And also something else that I'm going to make sure I'm doing with the papers is if I know I don't need them, like for example, if it's an assignment we did at the beginning of the year that I'm probably not going to use ever again, then I'm just going to toss it. Because sometimes papers just pile up and then you just have a ton of things you don't need, and that makes it very difficult to find the things you actually do need. I also think it's beneficial to have an organized pencil case. I really like the special cases. I think you can find them on Amazon. I like them because they have so many different compartments. So I'm probably going to do a shopping for school supplies or what's in my backpack video or something like that. But what I think is important to have in your pencil case are at least 4 or 5 pencils and then at least 2 different color highlighters. I think it might be better to do 3 or 4 if you want to organize your notes better. And then usually put 1 or 2 pens in there, and sometimes you put in some sticky notes or note cards in there. And if it doesn't fit, then I just put them in a pocket in my backpack. Something else I think is important is to take organized notes in class. Like I said earlier, you can use different colored highlighters. For example, if you're taking notes for history, you could highlight the people you need to remember in pink and the vocab you need to remember in yellow. The next section of this video is study tips. So I think it's important to plan out when you're going to study. For example, if you get home at 3, you can give yourself some time to get settled, get a snack, and then maybe around 3:30 or 4, you can start studying until dinner time at 6:30. I would say a good cutoff for studying is around 9, but I know sometimes that can be difficult if we have so much work to do. So it's okay to stay up a bit later, especially if you have a lot of activities after school. So that's why it's really important to plan out when to study, because maybe you have a day where you don't have as many activities, so then you can spend most of your studying that day, and that way you'll be good to go when you have a day where you have a lot of activities. I also think it's important to have a clean space with a tidy desk. Whenever I study, I always make sure I clear off my desk, and then I make it look nice. Sometimes I put on a candle, maybe I get myself a poppy or make a matcha or get a seltzer, just to romanticize the process a little bit more. Then I also sometimes put on one of those cute timers, which leads me to the Pomodoro method. This method is a really good study tool. So basically you study for 25 minutes and then you take a quick 5-minute break, and then you just keep going until you're done studying. And although that seems very simple, it is very beneficial to just give yourself a little break. Another study tip that really helps me is the Feynman method. This is where you basically pretend you're teaching a class. I think it's really helpful if you're trying to understand something. It can be helpful to just try and explain it, because then that'll really show you what you're not understanding, and then you can go back and study those points some more. I also have a video full of study tips and advice if you want to go check it out after you watch this. So the next section, I'm calling it classroom advice. The biggest thing that I will say is you need to pay attention. When the teacher's talking, try not to pay attention to your iPad unless you're using it to complete an assignment or to take notes. And if the teacher says something that you think is really important, make sure you're writing it down. Also, don't be afraid to ask questions in class. I know it can seem a little embarrassing at times to raise your hand to ask a question, but it is not at all. And usually someone else has the same question as you. But don't just wait and hope someone else asks your question, because then you're just putting it to chance and you might just not get the answer. Remember, nothing actually hurts from asking a question. Most teachers really like it when students ask questions or ask for help because it shows maturity. It's also important that if you see yourself struggling with a class, or if there's something you don't understand, go and ask for a teacher's help right away. If the help is not from your direct teacher, look to see if your school has other resources, like maybe tutoring programs. It is completely okay to ask for help because all you're doing is making yourself a better student. Now we're going to move on to routines. If you check out my videos, you know I do a lot of videos on routines if you want to get some inspo. But I think a morning routine is super important because that's how you're starting your day, and it can bring your day off to an amazing start. So I think it's good to wake up at the same time every day and make sure you're not going straight on your phone. It's okay if you want to turn the alarm off or turn on some music, but don't just scroll social media because that's not good for your brain. And then I think it's really important to make your bed. I know it's such a small task, but it makes me feel so much more put together. If you're able to do like some sort of movement in the morning, like stretching or maybe going for a run, that's great. But if not, don't worry, you can do your movement after school, or maybe you have a sport that you do. And then what I think is so important is to eat breakfast in the morning, because it just helps you get so much energy and it'll help you do so much better in school. A couple good breakfast ideas I love are yogurt bowls, avocado toast, cottage cheese toast, smoothie bowls, and oatmeal. If you guys want, I can do a whole video on different recipes for before school. Now for the after school routine. So after school, I feel like if you do have some downtime, I would take no more than 10-15 minutes to scroll. If you've had a long day, it's definitely okay to relax, but also make sure you're cleaning up your stuff. Maybe if you pack your lunch, make sure you clean up your lunchbox and clean your water bottle. And then have a snack. Some good after school snacks I like are hummus and carrots. I like having fruit, and I do like having protein balls. I think those are good because they help you stay full and get energy. And then obviously take some time to lock in and study, get some homework done. And hopefully this doesn't take too long, but I know sometimes it can take a couple hours, depending what grade you're in or what classes you have. Finally, there's the night routine. Get off your phone an hour before you go to bed. If you use a computer, an iPad at school, make sure to charge it. And also make sure to charge your phone. I know it can be so annoying when you have to do work, but then you look at your computer and it's out of battery. So to prevent that, make sure you're charging it every night. And then after you get ready for bed, maybe sometimes you can put on a face mask or eye masks to just romanticize it. I think it's good to read a little bit before bed. I have so many book recommendations. I did a video on YouTube Shorts recently on giving some books I think every teenage girl should read, if you want to go check that out. I also have so many other book recommendations if you want to ask me for some in the comments. And then I think it's important to go to bed at a decent time, because I'm someone who has trouble waking up early if I go to bed late, so I try to go to bed no later than 10ish so that I can be up by 5 or 6. Because personally, I love waking up a little bit earlier than I have to so that I can get a full morning routine done and work out and journal. But quick routines are also totally fine as well. It's whatever works for you. Our next section is glow up, and to preface this, you do not need to glow up. You are already gorgeous. Personally, I feel like glow up should be seen as something that's just fun to do. Just kind of like taking care of yourself in a healthy way. So if you want to, you can go back to school shopping to get some cute new outfits, but you may have some outfits that you love at home, and that's totally fine as well. You do not need to get a full new wardrobe. What you could do is you could go and maybe get a couple cute shirts or a new pair of shorts, or you could just use stuff you already have, and that's totally fine as well. You can also go thrifting, which I think is really fun. I love going to Plato's Closet. They have such great finds there. And remember to wear what makes you feel confident, not just what you think is trending. If you like wearing makeup and it makes you feel good, then do it. But if you just don't love wearing makeup, then you don't need to. Some days I feel like putting on a little bit more makeup, but other days I just feel like doing some skincare, and that's fine. Just remember that you are beautiful no matter what you decide to do. The final section of this video is friends. If you're going to a new school, I know it can be intimidating to make friends. Even if you're not going to a new school and you look at your schedule and you don't have any friends in any of your classes, that's okay. Something important to remember is that if you don't have a friend in every class, you can make a friend in every class. Something that I think is really important is to make small talk. Go up to someone and be like, hey, what did you think of this assignment last night? Or hey, how was your weekend? And then that can just open up for more conversations. I know sometimes this can be really scary, but if you need to pair up with someone, you can go up to them and ask, hey, do you want to work together? I used to be really nervous to do stuff like that, but most of the time people have been really nice, and over time it has gotten a lot easier. So the more you do it, the more comfortable you will feel. Another great way to start conversations is to give compliments. I don't know about you, but I love getting compliments. And whenever I get a compliment, I get like so excited, and I instantly think that person's like a really sweet person. You could compliment someone on their outfit, be like, hey, I love your shirt, where's it from? Because then that could start a conversation. Or you could also compliment them if you think they did really well with a presentation. Personally, I just think that's something that is so sweet to do. Also, another way to make friends is to join activities. I'm in book club at school, and I just think it's so fun. I've made so many friends from doing it. So if you have something that you're interested in, then you can look into joining it. So I'm going to end this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all so much, and I hope these tips were helpful to you. Comment down below if you have any other questions or any video suggestions, and let me know what videos you want to see this coming school year. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe for more content like this, and I hope you all have the best day ever. And if you stay till the end, comment down below this emoji. Bye guys! Mwah.